Okay. Good morning to everyone joining us for today's apprenticeship webinar. I am Lenora M. Daly, Associate Director of Manufacturing Programs for the Institute for Workforce Education, a division of St. Augustine College. I will be your moderator for this webinar, as well as your presenter. Today, we will be discussing the benefits of apprenticeship and pre-apprenticeship programs. Before we begin, let's go over some procedural items. We will be recording this presentation, and we will be sending out a link to all participants to review the recording or share with their colleagues. All of you, with the exception of the presenters, will be put on mute for the duration of the webinar, but you will be able to ask questions or comment using the chat function in Zoom during the Q&A session. I am pleased to introduce our distinguished panelist. Chris Connors is the Planning and Quality Assurance Manager for the Workforce Connections, a business-led board which serves as the regional resource for the workforce development in Boone, Stevenson, and Winnebago counties in Northern Illinois. He is also the designated apprenticeship navigator for the Economic Development Region 5, which includes the previous mentioned counties plus Ogle County. Chris will speak about apprenticeship programs and opportunities available in this region of the state. Craig Schmidt is the Vice President of Talent Development for the Calumet Area Industrial Commission, which is an apprenticeship intermediary with the state of Illinois. Craig will be speaking about the role of an intermediary and shall share his organization's experience with apprenticeship programs. Lastly, I will be providing an overview of apprenticeship programs in Illinois. As I mentioned earlier, I am the Associate Director of Manufacturing Programs for the Institute for Workforce Education, a division of St. Augustine College, and an apprenticeship navigator for Region 4 in the Northeast Illinois region for the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, which provides support for this webinar and other apprenticeship informational initiatives. As I mentioned earlier, after the presentation, we will have a Q&A session. Participants will be able to make comments or ask questions using the chat function in Zoom during the presentation and the Q&A session. If we do not get to your question or comment, we will contact you after the webinar to provide information. First, a bit of information about St. Augustine College. St. Augustine College is an accredited, independent, not-for-profit college with 4 locations in Chicago, 1 in Aurora. It offers associate and bachelor's degrees and is committed to promoting success through education. The Institute for Workforce Education, a division of St. Augustine, is a leading provider of dual language workforce development services in Illinois. It provides customized on-site training to businesses and not-for-profit and facilitates access to local and federal and state grants. Employer Training Investment Program, ETIP. St. Augustine College recently partnered with the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce as a pre-qualified workforce training provider for the Chamber's Employer Training Investment Program, ETIP, which reimbursed up to 50% of the cost of retraining or upskilling full-time employees at eligible companies or organizations. The ETIP is designed to assist Illinois employers in providing training to full-time employees, thus increasing capacity, building a stronger workforce, and creating more competitive business climates in Illinois. I am able to provide more information on this program, which is also funded by the state of Illinois' Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. I will begin the presentation on apprenticeship programs in Illinois with my role as an apprenticeship navigator with the state of Illinois' Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. The Illinois Apprenticeship Program has been around for 2 years, starting in Cook County Southline in 2019, and now in 2021 in the Economic Development Region 4. As an apprenticeship navigator, I'm available to help you start a program, and it is free of charge. We serve as a key point of contact and assist partners throughout the process From concept to implementation, we support existing or foster new partnerships. The objective of Apprenticeship Navigators is to expand employer intermediary program sponsorship in existing and new occupational areas within the region. Our co-panelist, Chris Connors, will have more on the role of Apprenticeship Navigators, and Craig Schmidt will expand on the role of intermediaries, which can provide technical assistance and support throughout the whole apprenticeship process. I work as a co-navigator with Kendi Cooler from the Cook County Bureau of Economic Development for the Northeast Economic Development Region 4, which includes the counties of Cook, DeKalb, DuPage, Grundy, Kane, Kankakee, Kendall, Lake, McHenry, and Will County. For those who are not familiar with apprenticeship programs, apprenticeship is an industry-driven workforce strategy to meet employers' talent needs and to help individuals to connect to career pathways for many different occupations. It is a work-based learning model, commonly referred to as learn and earn model, where on-the-job training is combined with relevant classroom instruction. There are various types of apprenticeships, including youth apprenticeships, which is generally paid apprenticeships for high school students, pre-apprenticeships, which serve as a bridge program into apprenticeships, registered apprenticeships, which are vetted by the U.S. Department of Labor. Non-registered apprenticeships are not registered with the U.S. Department of Labor. In February, President Biden rescinded former Trump's executive order creating industry-recognized apprenticeship programs, formerly known as IWRAPs. In April, the U.S. Department of Labor announced availability of approximately $87.5 million for grants to expand registered apprenticeships across the nation, with up to $40 million of those funds in grants awarded to states that implement required diversity, equity, inclusion efforts, and demonstrate their commitment to adopt and expand and promote those efforts. Here are the key components of a registered apprenticeship. Apprenticeships are jobs. Apprentices earn a competitive wage from their employer during training. Programs provide structure on the job learning to prepare for successful careers. Apprentices are provided classroom instruction on the critical aspects of their career. Apprentices receive on-the-job learning under the instruction of an experienced mentor. Apprentices earn a portable and national recognized credential. Please note, my colleague Chris Connors will speak more about the characteristics of apprenticeship later in this presentation. Here are some key facts about apprenticeships. Apprenticeships can take from 1 to 5 years. They can be time-based, competency-based, or hybrid. The training and education delivery, as well as the length of the program, can be customized. Participants can get credit for previous experience. Assistance is available to plan and implement existing or new apprenticeships. Pre-apprenticeship programs that serve as a bridge to apprenticeship programs. Youth apprenticeship programs for individuals generally between the ages of 16 to 14, in school or out of school. Additional benefits to employers. Building a pipeline of skilled workers. It's an opportunity to fill challenging vacancies and maintain institutional knowledge when soon-to-be retired workers serve as instructors or mentors to new workers. Training apprentices can help a company accommodate an aging workforce. Gain workers with customized skills. Companies have the opportunity to train workers to meet their specific standards using exact pieces of equipment, protocol, procedures that are relevant to the company. Boost retention, decrease worker turnover due to the fostering of greater worker loyalty and productivity. Apprentices are loyal to the company that invests in them. There is an added sense of loyalty between an employer and an employee. Saving money on wages. Apprentices begin earning between 40 to 50% less than a fully trained employee. Businesses can save money on wages by sponsoring an apprentice, making a positive return on investment. A study found that financial return on investment averages between $1.47 earned for every dollar spent on the program. Companies may be eligible for a new apprenticeship educational tax credit in Illinois. Here are some compelling facts about registered apprenticeships programs. They have proven a record of producing strong results for employers and participants. Apprentices have lifetime earning advantages of $300,000 versus others in similar situations with no apprenticeship training. Completers earn an average of $70,000 per year. Employers get a return on investment of $1.47 for every dollar spent on apprenticeships. And 90% of registered apprentices are employed upon the completion of their apprenticeship. Apprenticeships continue to demonstrate strong growth. The United States has 70% growth in apprentices since 2011. Here are some facts. 1.9 million plus new apprentices since FY11. 38% active apprentices than the previous 10 years are 636,000 versus 449 back in 2011. 349 plus participants completed an apprenticeship in the last 5 years. 13,000 plus new apprenticeship programs were created in the last 5 years. In fiscal 2020, the state total of registered apprenticeships in Illinois were 16,783 active apprentices in registered apprenticeship programs. 4,144 new apprentices have registered in apprenticeship programs. 2,361 individuals have completed apprenticeships programs. 486 active apprenticeship programs in Illinois. And in 2020, 47 new apprenticeship programs were started in Illinois. It used to be most apprenticeship programs were focused on construction and manufacturing, but that has changed. Nowadays, there are apprenticeship programs available across all the sectors of the economy, including information and technology, health, transportation, manufacturing, financial services, hospitality, energy, communication, and other professional sectors. Next, I would like to show a short video that highlights the ICAT apprenticeship. The Industry Consortium for Advanced Technology Training is the leading apprenticeship program for high-tech manufacturers and companies with complex technology or logistics.
We see that right now we cannot find the people that we need in the market. We decided to invest in the ICAT apprenticeship program to overcome the skills gap long term. It is very important in our industry to hire somebody that has a certain skill set. And that skill set is being taught in the ICAT apprenticeship program. There's a lot of things like hands-on experience that you just don't learn in a 4-year college degree.
I would tell students that the ICAT apprenticeship program is a great direction because you can work and go to school at the same time, and while you're going to school, the company pays for the school, so that's also a great benefit.
What we see lately that companies hire graduates from 4-year programs, they don't work out because they have never had any experience in the industry, and then they have to rehire, and if you add up all those costs, an apprenticeship program is paid easily. So a lot of times the feedback that I receive from other companies that the German American Chamber approaches about the ICAT program is the fear of losing the young individuals after investing time and money. I'm a strong believer of building a loyalty and a relationship with an employee, especially with a young individual right after high school. And if you invest time and money in them and make them feel welcome and needed in the company, I don't think that the fear is really valid anymore.
10 years from now, I see myself as an application engineer working at a Hermling Machine Company. I think the ICAT apprenticeship program would prepare me perfectly.
Just make the step and invest in the young kids.
Here is some information on how to fund a registered apprenticeship program. through the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. The workforce system that supports the components of a registered apprenticeship program. On-the-job training learning is funded through contract. OJT contracts can cover one or multiple apprentices. In some circumstances, reimbursement under the WIOA has increased 50 to 75%. Related training and instruction under WIOA in all classroom training is funded through an individual training account known as ITA. In order to take advantage of this potential funding, programs must be registered in the state of Illinois' eligible training provider list. Supportive services, tools, and childcare. The WIOA formula funds can be utilized to provide a range of supportive services for individual training accounts related to instructional training. On this slide, I would like to share with the following resources. At apprenticeshipillinois.com, you can find tools that can be helpful in learning about and starting or participating in an existing apprenticeship program in Illinois. The U.S. Department of Labor, though it's revamped, the website apprenticeship.gov has various links where you can get a quick start kit, toolkit, resources for registered apprenticeships and apprenticeship on the registration site. Our next panelist is Chris Connors. He is the Planning and Quality Assurance Manager for the Workforce Connections, a business-led board which serves as a regional resource for workforce development in Boone, Stevenson, and Winnebago counties in Northern Illinois. He is also a designated apprenticeship navigator for the Economic Development Region 5, which includes the previous mentioned counties plus Ogle County. Chris will speak about the apprenticeship programs and opportunities available in this region of the state. Chris, we welcome you today and go ahead and take it away.
Thanks so much, Lenora. Can you hear me?
Yes, again, we
Okay.
can.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. As Lenora mentioned, my name is Chris Connors, and Planning and Quality Assurance Manager. The Workforce Connection does serve as the local workforce board for Boone, Stevenson, and Winnebago counties. And Lenora had mentioned in one of the previous slides some of the resources that WIOA funding can provide for apprenticeships, and we're no different in that regard, in that we're one of the local workforce boards in the state of Illinois. And then I'm also doing a lot of the similar work that Lenora is doing in her region as an apprenticeship navigator. It's almost, you're kind of sounding the call and acting as the Pied Piper for apprenticeships in your region, and making sure that you're connecting any businesses that are interested to the appropriate related instruction providers and intermediaries, as well as talent to get those apprenticeship models set up. So just some information about the region where I'm at and represent, like it's been said, Boone, Stevenson, and Winnebago counties for our local workforce board. And then the economic development region includes those counties as well, as well as Ogle County, excuse me. We've traditionally had one of the higher unemployment rates in the state, even pre-pandemic. We were hovering around 6 to 7%. Obviously, the pandemic hit. That took us for a couple months, right around 23 to 24% unemployment. Obviously, that's can come down a little bit, and we're currently around 9%. Still one of the highest in the state. We do have a mix of urban and rural communities. So some of our quote urban communities are cities like Belvedere, Rockford, Freeport, areas like that. So we also have a lot of rural areas around us as well. So a lot of farming, a lot of things like that. So we're kind of a mix of kind of who we serve, and thus the businesses that we serve in that regard. Our population has steadily declined higher than the state average. I know that the state in general has seen population decline. We're no different, slightly higher. So just to kind of, we do lose people to Wisconsin. Rockford's about 15 to 20 miles from Wisconsin. So we do lose population to Wisconsin. We have lost some businesses to Wisconsin recently. So no different than the state, I know, but something that is a concern of ours and that we're dealing with locally here. The leading industries in our area include transportation and logistics. Our Rockford Regional Airport has just recently, in the last couple of years, absolutely exploded with logistics business, with Amazon and other companies coming to the area, taking advantage of expanding the airport here in Rockford. So that's been a big booming area for us. Manufacturing, that's been something that's been here in Rockford a long time, as well as healthcare and social assistance. Also big, those are all listed on a regional plan. Our regional plan also includes hospitality and tourism as kind of an emerging industry. And our regional plan was released 3 weeks before the pandemic hit. So we're really trying to figure out where hospitality and how culinary arts and things like that are going to fit as things continue, hopefully, to reopen. So next slide, please. So this is kind of our goal. We're trying to combine economic development and workforce development. So things like planning strategies for economic growth, attracting employers to our region and retaining employers here, job creation, and then entrepreneurial and small business development. We see ourselves both as a local workforce board and as well as an apprenticeship navigator serving in that role for the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity as an expert in the region's landscape of employment, encouraging people to prepare for employment, providing funding for individuals and employers. And we really pride ourselves in measuring ourselves by successful outcomes. So that's some of the things we're trying to do here in our region, some of our goals, some of the things we're working towards. Next slide, please. Lenora covered most of this, so I'm going to breeze through it rather quickly. Apprenticeships allow people to get paid on the job training along with classroom learning to earn credentials and certifications for a fruitful career. Apprentices generally have structured pay increases associated with the demonstration of competencies and greater responsibilities. Apprentices are generally considered a full-time employee of an employer during the apprenticeship. Apprentices are mentored on the job to employers' expectations. Apprentices often receive employment credentials and college credit during their apprenticeship. Apprenticeships do not come with the associated burden of student loan debt, and apprenticeships can be incumbent workers or new employees. Previously, Lenore mentioned the different types of apprenticeships. When we wrote for our Apprenticeship Navigator grant a couple years ago, we really chose to focus on registered apprenticeships in our region. I'm willing to help anyone. Any business looking to get any type of an apprenticeship set up. As you'll see in a minute, we've worked with healthcare and manufacturing. I've had contacts with people looking to set up apprenticeships in things like gunsmith, creating guns, and also ballroom dancing. Like that's literally been the breadth of every industry that's contacted me. So willing to work with anyone. But really looking to focus on those registered apprenticeships. You can go to the next slide, please. As has kind of been the case, I think nationally and statewide, traditional or historical apprenticeships have been in hard trades and manufacturing. And I think that we've seen that consistently. And if you were to ask someone who didn't know much about an apprenticeship, they would say that's the type of apprenticeship they've seen. Where we chose to focus is some of those non-traditional areas. So our focus has been locally healthcare. Again, I'm certainly willing to work with anyone and everyone who's interested, but the healthcare industry is one of the largest employers in our region. We have 5 pretty significant hospital systems in our region. And the 2 pain points for the employers in our region have been certified medical assistants, which is not quite an entry-level position, but pretty close, and then a sonographers, which are not entry-level positions, and finding individuals who are willing to go into those areas. Now, the challenge with those areas is that the employees need certifications to work in those jobs. That's a requirement. So what we've been doing is creating apprenticeship models around those areas. Those are just the 2 that we have been able to accomplish thus far. Employers are interested in short-term training, recognized certification to grow their employee base. So what we have been able to kind of work through is working, for example, with local community colleges who have traditionally had 2-year completion programs or associate degrees that they're looking to put students through, and then working with an employer who says, I need someone quicker than that. I want someone in 8 to 10 months. And so we've been successful in kind of communicating the needs of employers with the realities of a community college. And recently, in the last 9 months, been able to specifically Highland Community College, who's been a great partner of ours out of Freeport, get them to turn their medical assistant program from a 2-year program to a 9-month program. And we've been able to register 4 different apprentices in that program, and we've got 5 more coming. So the local hospital system has been very happy with that. We continue to communicate with employers and service providers and educational institutions on the value of apprenticeships, and to facilitate that dialogue between what employers are looking for and what training institutions have and what they're offering, to see if we can kind of bridge that gap to make sure that employers are getting what they want and they're matching what the services that local training providers such as community colleges and associations are offering. So next slide, please. So some quick myths and facts about apprenticeships. Apprenticeships and internships are the same thing. Fact is, apprenticeships are long-term paid and generally lead to a job. Internships are short-term opportunities that are often unpaid. Apprenticeships are for the trades only, as we've talked about. That's not true. The trades and constructions are where the most apprenticeships exist. However, in recent years, industries like advanced manufacturing, healthcare, and IT have embraced them. Apprenticeships are only for young people in math. Not true. Apprenticeships are open to people of all ages and are often used by companies to train incumbent workers. Apprenticeships are a way for companies to get low-cost labor. Apprenticeships actually may start at a lower wage, but rate increase with longer tenure. They often lead to higher paying positions without the burden of student loan debt. Next slide, please. Apprenticeship costs too much money for employers, as Lenora mentioned. I think you said $1.47, Lenora. So I think I might have just rounded up when I did this to $1.50 return on investment. So we were pretty close on that number. Apprenticeships offer boring work, which is kind of shocking to me, but that is something we've been told. Apprenticeships allow employees to learn on the job and engage in skilled activities while taking on high levels of responsibility. College is better than an apprenticeship. College is great for some, not for others. So, but not, it's true for some industries, but not all. And for many industries, apprenticeships lead to better employment prospects, again, without that student loan debt, which we hear a lot about these days. Another myth is apprenticeships aren't available. There are actually nationwide more than 50,000 apprenticeship models in hundreds of different industries. So next slide, please. So, we see apprenticeships as a way to increase equality for everyone. And so that cartoon there kind of shows equality versus equity versus liberation. And so that might be, that's something we use quite a bit, just in terms of making sure that everyone has access to our services as well as to employment in our region. So the only way that we're going to accomplish that is to make sure that all people have access to these types of programs. So regardless of background, life circumstances, or education level, Illinois workers can be prepared for high demand careers by developing core academic, technical, and essential employability skills throughout their lifetimes. And that's really the goal of apprenticeships in general. So with that, I don't know if I think we're doing questions at the end, Lenora, but I'm happy to answer any as we go through. So I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Chris. Really appreciate the wonderful presentation. As you know, as navigators, Chris, we talk a lot about apprenticeship programs throughout the state of Illinois as navigators, and I really thank you for your presentation. Now, let's welcome our next presenter. Craig Smith is currently the Vice President of Talent Development at the Calumet Area Industrial Commission. He supports the Apprenticeship Program Expansion Grant from the U.S. Department of Labor as an intermediary in Region 4. He has worked in workforce development most of his career and apprenticeship programs for the last 7 years. He has written, implemented, and led millions of dollars of grants over the years focused on recruiting and training individuals in high demand careers of manufacturing, transportation, healthcare, and IT. He will present on his organization's role as an apprenticeship intermediary. Welcome, Craig.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Lenora and St. Augustine College, for inviting the Calumet Area Industrial Commission to talk about our role as an intermediary for the apprenticeship programs with the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. Happy to be here again. We appreciate that. I want to start with telling you a little bit about the Calumet Area Industrial Commission, or for short, CAIC. We've been in existence since 1967. We're a non-for-profit membership-based organization. We're located in the southern tip of the city of Chicago in the Pullman area, right in the hub of the manufacturing industry from metropolitan Chicago to Northwest Indiana. Now, over the years, we've expanded to include, moved into Will County, and even into some of the south suburbs, all of which has a huge manufacturing base. We're an industrial advocacy, economic development, business development, workforce development, and certainly a community outreach organization, again, mainly focused on the manufacturing industry. We provide a number of community resources that are funded under the Chicago Cook Workforce Partnership, which is funded under the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, as everyone knows as WIOA. We provide services for individuals from job readiness training to on-the-job training to job placement. And we work with individuals who are unemployed or underemployed to help them find that sustaining wage in a career. We offer a number of resources for businesses, from business and development incentives to training reimbursement and apprenticeship guidance and development, which I'm going to talk about. And then certainly a huge value for our members are the networking events and educational workshops that we hold. So the two programs we're going to talk about is one is our role as an intermediary. We were awarded an apprenticeship expansion grant from DCEO, and with the goal of to start, reignite, and grow apprenticeship programs. We play that consultant role to help one get started and guide them through the process. What I'm seeing most companies have are some sort of apprenticeship program in place. It's just that they may need some refining, and we can certainly help them with that and help them submit that to the U.S. Department of Labor to get that registered. The grant we currently have will pay the education portion or the tuition for anyone that is in a registered apprenticeship program, whether it's through a community college or other training provider. Can be in any industry. It can be for new or current employees. Some companies use apprenticeships as an onboarding tool, meaning they start as an apprentice the day they start working. And other companies use it as a promotional tool to move individuals up in the company. The goal is for one to be skilled in a certain occupation, such as a welder, a machine operator, a diesel mechanic. You're training for that occupation. Apprenticeship, this also assists workers in achieving the journeyman card. And most importantly, you're creating a long-term training solution for your company and gaining commitment from your employees in the process. The time for this grant is now through December, so you don't want to hesitate. The funding through the Chicago Cook Workforce Partnership is a delegate agency. We offer the on-the-job training reimbursement also. So if you are an employer and you hire an unemployed or underemployed individual, this grant can reimburse you up to 50% of the wages that are paid during the training, and could be up to 90 days. There are a few requirements, as you can see, but if you're interested, please reach out. The challenge we have currently is finding candidates, just like all the other companies in the area. But we are certainly putting some resources around that to improve those numbers. One of the ways we're doing that is through our new grant. I don't have a slide on this, but if you are a manufacturer, please pay attention. CAIC was awarded an $8.9 million grant from the U.S. Department of Labor. partnering with 10 community colleges in the Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana regions to train over 1,100 individuals in a manufacturing career over the next 4 years. So, we certainly plan on this being a pipeline for you. We're just beginning recruitment, and you will see more to come on that, but certainly reach out if you want to hear how you can participate. My contact information is there. Lenora, I'm going to send this back to you, and thank you again for having us.
Thank you, Craig. Great presentation. Again, making sure that everybody's aware that Greater Calumet, the Calumet area does have some assistance money for technical assistance, as well as being an intermediary for the DECEO grant for businesses to be able to support their apprenticeship programs. So as I mentioned earlier, we will now have the Q&A session running a little early today. Participants can make comments or ask questions using the chat function in Zoom. If you do not get to your question today or comment, we'll contact you after the webinar to provide information. So let's start our Q&A. First question, what are the requirements of a registered apprenticeship program for HVAC industry? As we covered earlier in the presentation, we had mentioned a little bit about apprenticeships, and I'm just going to make sure that we cover this right, is making sure a registered program has 5 components. It's a paid on-the-job learn and earn opportunity. It could be classroom learning, mentorship, and it could be some credentials towards your apprenticeship and things in that capacity. So we, as a navigator and also intermediary, if I can assist you with establishing an HVAC program that's either registered with the U.S. Department of Labor, as well as a pre-apprenticeship program as well. I know that HVAC seems to be a growing industry for a lot of folks out there. And that's one of the things that a lot of people are very curious about, is how to get these programs started, especially when we're talking about a technical program such as HVAC. Where do we register and how? I'm going to direct this to Chris and Craig.
So is the question, how does an employer register for an apprenticeship?
Apprenticeship
or how does
program, yes, and
individual-
how?
Okay. Craig, do you want to start, or I can take it if you, I guess I'll start. The first thing, in my opinion, the first step is to identify an intermediary or training provider to work with in order to get that apprenticeship going. So depending on the industry what a person would be in, and then identify obviously the people you're looking to promote through that apprenticeship, and so whatever point A is where those individuals are starting, what is point B, and then the training requirements around that. Navigators and intermediaries can give you specifics in terms of, for industries, how long that needs to be, the training and the internship piece, excuse me, on the job training piece as well. So I don't want to say it depends on the employer and the occupation, but it does to some extent. So Craig, you're much closer to the intermediary thing than I am, so I'll let you go ahead.
Yeah, sure. First of all, you want to identify the occupation. What is it? What job are you training for? And then you want to identify what are the educational courses that are needed to help someone become an expert in that field. And then you're also going to identify what are on the job trainings that need to take place. Now, and then you put those together, and then you're going to submit that to the Department of Labor. The Department of Labor does have some requirements in terms of, 154 classroom hours per year, and 2,000 hours of work time per year. And most apprenticeship programs are going to last, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, because again, you're training someone to be skilled in that particular occupation. It's again, you probably, most companies, you have the job description, and you probably have laid out what are all the on-the-job training things that need to be done. You may not have the educational component, but we can certainly connect you with a community college or a training provider that can do that. And even some of the community colleges, they are the sponsor of a registered apprenticeship program. So you could actually just kind of jump onto theirs, and they will complete the paperwork for the Department of Labor that is required for each apprentice as well. And you have to identify a mentor too, someone that is just kind of their trainer per se, and going to follow them, make sure that they are completing both the on-the-job training and the educational requirements throughout the apprenticeship program.
Thank you, Greg. And I also agree as well, because the thing is that usually with an employer that is pursuing a registered apprenticeship program, they're closing a skills gap due to the fact is that I mentioned earlier in the presentation that they have employees that are retiring out, and they have identified those positions that they can't completely find someone to replace that employee. And going to that point is that they're just closing the skills gap. They're filling that talent pipeline shortage that they have within their facility. And we have a lot of resources out there for companies that want to establish their apprenticeship program. Our next question: are there any grants available for programs in our industry? So that's an open question. It could be any sector. Yes, there are grants available. We indicated earlier in the presentation, we have on-the-job training dollars, and we also have funding that is available for companies through WIOA, through the Workforce Investment Act program, that apprentices can get involved in, that are funded apprenticeship programs. Craig, you want to talk a little bit about working with companies that are pursuing grants or assistance for apprenticeship programs from your organization?
I'm sure, yeah. So, we do have an apprenticeship expansion grant that will pay right now the education portion of one in a registered apprenticeship program, and that can be any industry at this point. Those grant dollars right now, though, are going to be only through December, and the goal is with that is for us to help get started, get the individuals enrolled, pay for that first semester, first year, and then the company, would continue pick up those costs going forward. Again, a company has to look at this. This is an investment in my workforce. So, it is going to take that. And a lot of times companies offer tuition reimbursement. You have to look at it, taking that tuition reimbursement and moving it to the front end sometimes versus as a reimbursement. And then again, we do have a grant for the manufacturing sector that can assist with individuals. And again, it's around training, individuals getting industry recognized credentials and getting employment. And would be happy to talk to you about that too. But again, that's focused strictly on manufacturing.
Thank you. Next question: are there any tax credits associated with apprenticeship programs? Yes. The state of Illinois does have a tax credit, educational tax credit for apprenticeship programs. So that being said, there's a tax credit if it is a registered apprenticeship program with the U.S. Department of Labor for a participant up to $3,500. If there is a vet, there's an extra caveat to that. There's an additional tax credit on top of that for $1,500 for employers.
Yeah, the only other thing with that is if you are using WIOA money to help pay for the education, you're not allowed to quote unquote double dip. So you can't do both.
Thanks,
if you were to use that. So if you use the tax credit, you can't use the WIOA money. If you use the WIOA money, you can't use the tax credit. So
okay, thank you, Chris. That's good to know as well. Thank you. I have a question out there. It's for the group. What's the difference of the support provided by apprenticeship navigators and apprenticeship intermediaries? And I'm going to go ahead and ask Chris first. What's the difference between the support of an apprenticeship navigator? And then I'm going to ask Craig, what's the difference of support to a company as an intermediary? If you guys can kind of talk. I'm going to let Chris go first.
Yeah, what I can tell you what I've been doing, and I think it's a little different in every economic development region. So working with interested businesses in showing them the benefits of an apprenticeship, B, giving them an overview of what an apprenticeship model would look like, then helping them identify a training provider. That might be a community college, that might be an organization like Craig's, who can provide that, that training, and then also working through kind of the nuts and bolts of actually pen to paper putting an apprenticeship model together. The way I've been doing that is working with our local Department of Labor apprenticeship person, and she's wonderful. We got very lucky in that we have someone who's been around for 30 years that I can go to and set up calls and assist me with that process. So that's the process as in terms of a navigator. I think it helps employers connect the dots to what they need to do to get things set up. And then I'll kind of hand it over to Craig to talk about kind of the role as an intermediary.
Yeah, no, thanks, Chris. And I agree with you. There's probably, I guess a crossover between the intermediaries and navigators in
Sure.
many ways, because I think we're all here to try to help a company, accomplish getting an apprenticeship program started. So whether it, from the beginning to the middle to the end, but as an intermediary, we certainly help with the connection between an educational program in helping outline the on-the-job training and support it financially to help get it up and running. So there are resources. We have resources to help with that. So, but that's the way I see my role is to at least let people know that there are apprenticeships out there, there's apprenticeships, money is available, and then how do we connect everyone together so that and make it actually come to fruition.
Thank you, Craig. Thanks, Chris. We have another question. This is from someone that attended today. What are the reporting requirements to DLL and others? So is there any reporting that a company has to make once they register their apprenticeship program with the U.S. Department of Labor? I'm going to swing that question over to Craig real quick. I don't think so.
Well, there is, you do have you set up a Rapids account with the Department of Labor. You
Okay.
will submit a one-page form about each apprentice, you'll enter that into the Rapids system. And then as far as from there, what's reported to the Department of Labor, I'm not 100% sure, but you are going to want to, you'll need a tracking system of them completing the coursework and completing the on-the-job training. So it's not extensive, but again, if a number of colleges are sponsors and they do all that paperwork for you. So if you don't have a large HR department, I would look to them, and we. I can connect you to the colleges that do have those apprenticeship programs, but it's not. You do need someone to manage the process. You do need kind of a leader of that that's going to make it happen.
Yeah, and I would add, like, for example, for our medical apprenticeship programs, the Workforce Connection is actually serving as the sponsor. That Craig mentioned, there needs to be a sponsor. So I'm facilitating a lot of that paperwork with Rapids. So you're spot on with the requirements that you mentioned, but and it would be good to partner with, find a sponsor, so to speak. The employer can certainly serve in that sponsor role if they would like. There is some additional paperwork to that. I find myself in my role working with a lot of different HR departments to kind of, facilitate this process in general. So everything from selecting related instructor to setting up those wage scales and things like that. So.
Thank you both. That's some great information. We have one more question here, is that can a company get federal and state funding to support an apprenticeship program? And I think, Chris, you did answer that question earlier, between getting a tax credit, also getting WIOA, and then also, Craig, you answered that question as well for companies that can get state funding for OJT as well. Is there any other funding that I'm leaving out, guys, today?
Not that I'm aware,
Mhm.
at least from a WIOA perspective, for those OJTs, those on-the-job trainings,
Mhm,
those really focus on a new hire.
mhm.
So at least from a local workforce board perspective, so if you're going to
Mhm.
work on an on-the-job training with, that has to be someone that is a brand new employee for you, so that you would be putting that brand new employee through their apprenticeship, and then funding sources can assist on the on-the-job training side. But I don't know if, Craig, that applies to you as well, but it's generally for a brand new employee.
That's correct.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. I have a question from Dora, a statement for Doris. She's with ICAT, and she also says that ICAT does also have a mandated program to manage paperwork. Guys, people are writing these questions to me. You got to forgive me. Doris from ICAT also manages paperwork for DLL, Registered Apprenticeship Programs. I just wanted to make sure the audience is aware that ICAT does have a program. They do manage the paperwork for Registered Apprenticeship Programs. And I would like to thank both of our panelists for today's presentation. Craig and Chris, you guys are always wonderful with supporting apprenticeship programs. And I thank you both for being part of the panelists today. This concludes our webinar today. My contact information is on the screen for everyone who needs further information or assistance in setting up or supporting an apprenticeship or pre-apprenticeship program. I'm also available to meet, whether in person or virtually, to discuss apprenticeship opportunities and needs that your company may have. Please note that we will hold an additional apprenticeship webinar on June 9th and June 30th. You can check out our website at iwetraining.com for our webinar schedule, which will be posted in the next couple of days. Again, I would like to give a big thanks to our panelists, Chris and Craig, and the participants. And please have a wonderful and safe holiday weekend this weekend. And we look forward to seeing everybody next month to celebrate our June 9th and also our June 30th webinars. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Craig.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.